All right. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to Team Time. Shauna, do I have you spotlighted? Okay, let me see if I can get No. Okay, I show you.
I see everybody.
Okay, there we go. Here we go. All right. Well, welcome to Team Time, you guys. It is Monday. It is January 19th. Some of you guys might have had a holiday today. I hope you enjoyed your time if that was the case. And I'm glad that you prioritized Team Time tonight. So we're going to have a great call. Shauna is going to be co-hosting with me. We're going to talk about really enhancing our coaching skills as 3.0 coaches. What does that look like? And specifically the art of asking questions, particularly with your weekly connections with your clients. So just a couple of things before we jump right into that, because we've got some good stuff happening as a team. We're just a little bit over halfway through the month, still have quite a bit of time left, but I wanted to let you know we have almost doubled the amount of new clients that we brought in new this month already on the 19th than we brought in the entire month of December. But something that really amazed me was we have had 30 clients reactivate just this month. 30 clients have reactivated. So I hope that you are in touch with those clients, that you are reaching, inviting them back, especially in our metabolic world, a chance to do it different this time, and really, giving them the red carpet service. And we've got 61 people participating in the metabolic reset experience. So that number jumped during the week. And the week one results, they are experiencing improved sleep, improved body fat percentage, improved mood, optimism showed up numerous times, feeling freedom, and an average of 1.88 pounds lost. So good things are happening. That's super, super exciting. And I'm going to drop it in the chat, but tonight, the third Monday of every month, Dr. Anderson and Dan Bell are doing an all coach call for us. So we are very lucky that we are in the mentorship line for them. And that is tonight from 8:30 to 9:30. So I will drop that in the chat, hoping that you will be there. Tonight, they're going to really be talking about some good things and how do you really not just wish or hope that this is a better year, but how do you actually create it and make it happen through your own personal strategy. But getting to the good stuff, we're going to talk tonight about coaching. And what is that? What is our role? And what is it that we do? So most of you guys know because you've been through the process and have been with us. But I know we have new that will be watching this. But our real goal as a coach is that we are going to guide somebody. That's the great thing about what we do at Optavia is that we have a proven system in front of us, right? So our goal is really to guide through that system, but actually to be there as their partner for accountability, for encouragement, for support, and to keep them moving forward to what it is that they said that they wanted. And one thing I know in, almost 15 years of coaching is I've never seen this program not work when followed correctly. The only thing that ever gets in the way is the human factor. So that's what we're doing is how do we, in a positive way, guide, courage, provide that accountability and help them move forward? And how do we do it differently that we did in the past so our clients really understand the depth of what it is that we are offering them? So I couldn't think of anybody better who models this so well. I would say in a 3.0 world, we want to definitely be bold with our love for our clients, but we also want to use intrinsic validation, helping them feel safe, so that it is an environment that we can use it as a constructive environment, and really be available to them to help them move forward. And I can't think of anybody better than Shauna, who's been through so much training and I think just has an innate ability to do it as well. So Shauna, going to turn it over to you for a while.
Okay, thank you so much, Dee. And what a powerful topic we're talking about tonight. This is one that I'm still fine tuning with each client call that I do. So I don't know that you ever get out of the learning mode with this one. But learning the art of asking quality questions is ever evolving and learning in a learning process. And with a 3.0, we're no longer focusing on the scale, the number, the weight loss every week, like maybe we did in 2.0. And I love that because all of you can relate. That did get a little uncomfortable sometimes. But I promise you, if you keep asking questions, you will grow more confident. You will learn to ask deeper, more impactful questions. And when your clients start saying to you things like, wow, that's a tough question, or, hey, that's a really good question. I'm glad you asked that. Then you're going to know that you're helping them stay on track and dig a little deeper and grow as well. So tonight, Dee's asked me to talk to you about the art of good questions. And I want to be upfront with you. I'm no expert, but I am bringing to this conversation almost 9 years of coaching experience and learning through my mistakes as well as my wins. So that's kind of where I'm talking to you tonight from. So we're going to start with why questions matter and why good questions matter. And, it's really easy to hero coach. It's kind of a no-brainer if you've been coaching clients for a while to just give them advice. And if you have fallen into that trap, put a 1 in the chat because I did. And it's really easy to just try to fix their problems and talk them through. But, it becomes second nature just to tell them these things, right? But it is exhausting week after week when you do that. And it starts to feel like we're just trying to keep them on the straight and narrow, for lack of a better term. And yes, we're coaching them to change the habits so that they can lose their weight and gain control of their health. But here's the thing. We are also helping these clients, most of them, unpack and untangle years and sometimes decades of emotional patterns, beliefs, and habits that are often tied to food. And this is where asking those deeper quality questions is going to come in and help you a lot. I want you to remember this one thing. Lasting change doesn't come from being told what to do. Lasting change comes from discovering why we do what we do. And that's where the transformation in our lives and our clients' lives happen. So where do we start? We start by listening to hear and understand and not listening to respond. I'm going to ask you a question. Have you ever been 2 or 3 thoughts ahead while your client is talking to you because you already have in queue what you're going to say to them as soon as they stop talking? I am so guilty of that. And it's something I have to work on all the time. That is listening to respond. The opposite is listening to understand. And when we listen to understand, we are fully engaged in hearing what they're saying. And, we may be jotting down some notes, but we are present and fully focused on the client and on what they are saying. That is when we listen to understand. When we listen to hear and understand, we can then pick up on those emotional cues. They can be self-limiting beliefs, or maybe they're gaps in their understanding of the program and the mechanics of how it works. Or you may hear a lot of excuses disguised as statements like, I don't have time to make a lean and green every day. Or I have to drink or have a dessert at these business meetings because I don't want to be rude. Or maybe it's, I just don't have the willpower. I just don't know if I can do this anymore. Or I think what we hear a lot is I have failed everything else and I'm so afraid I'm going to fail this too. These are all cues and opportunity for us to dig deeper into what can sometimes feel really uncomfortable, but they are necessary questions for us to ask. If we aren't taking the opportunity to ask deeper questions, we're probably falling into the trap, wait till you hear these 2 words, of appeasement or agreement with our clients. Because, let's be real. We don't want to make them uncomfortable, do we? And we don't want to make ourselves uncomfortable. And this is a trap that a lot of new coaches fall into. We just want to soothe and encourage them to do better without really getting to the heart of what's going on. And when we fall into the trap of this type of coaching, we're also missing opportunities for our clients to take ownership of their choices. And that's really what's important, isn't it? It is so important for our clients to work through their own answers. And they do that when we ask them good questions, when we ask them deep questions. And when they do that, they begin to understand that everything is a choice. And 99% of the time, they're in full control of which choices they're making. This is going to help take those excuses off the table and allow them to become more empowered and make better choices for their own health journey. So let's talk about 2 characteristics of strong questions. The first one is good questions are open-ended. Put a 1 in the chat if you understand that, what open-ended questions are, because this is what we need to be doing all the time. Open-ended questions usually are not going to allow your client to give you a 1-word answer. They don't get off that easy when you ask them an open-ended question. So open-ended questions would be like, what situations felt hardest to navigate this week and why? Or what belief about yourself is being challenged right now? What do you already need to do but you're resisting? Or what do you feel is holding you back from making a different choice? For those questions, they really can't give you a yes or no answer, can they? But they can try to get away with a few words that don't really answer the question. You can go deeper if they do that. So I'm going to give you an example. Let's say they respond with, I don't know, the whole day was hard. When you asked that question, what situations felt the hardest to navigate? Well, that's not really a good answer. It doesn't really help you to help them move forward. So now you're going to circle back and go a little deeper with a question like, okay, that's a good start. But now would you mind sharing with me what moment in the day felt like the whole day was going to be difficult? And now you've got them thinking. They've got to go back. So you're going to stay with them with that. And when you ask that open-ended question and they kind of default to just a few words, you can always circle back around and dig a little deeper with that. The next characteristic is good questions are curious, not corrective. And y'all, I love this because I am guilty of doing the corrective if I don't watch myself. So examples of corrective and curious questions will go something like this. First one is corrective. Tell me, why didn't you plan ahead for the weekend? Versus curious. Tell me, what was different about this weekend for you? Next one, corrective. What do you think you should be doing differently? Versus curious. What seems to get in the way when you do know what to do? Did y'all hear how different those questions, same question, but did you hear how different they sounded? The corrective questions felt a tiny bit judgy, or maybe they sounded disguised as advice, but the curious questions sounded more like an invitation to explore. You were digging deeper with them with those questions. So something you might want to jot down to help you remember this. Corrective questions always start with, why didn't you? Or they contain the word should. Why didn't you and should? They sound accusatory, don't they? Or like you start to bristle up their defense mechanisms when you use that verbiage. Curious questions will almost always start with what or how. So I think we can all understand this one because I know for myself, I will bristle if I'm asked a corrective question. So naturally, when I ask one, when I'm not keeping in check what I'm saying to my clients, and it just comes out and I ask a question like that, I know it immediately. I can feel it. I feel preachy, for lack of a better word. And I will usually try to rephrase it and, circle back with a rephrased question if I find that I've done that. And then finally, at the end of our call, we always want to leave time to invite our clients to a moment of reflection. And I might ask my clients things like, what was most helpful for you from our conversation today? Or what is one goal you're setting for yourself this upcoming week? Or maybe I'm going to ask them, what did you learn about yourself this week that surprised you? So I have several brand new clients, and I was on a day 3 check-in yesterday with one of them. And I just thought, it just popped into my head to ask her that. And I said, tell me, what's one thing that surprised yourself in these 3 days that you've been on program? Because day 1 was okay, day 2 was a bust, day 3 she was feeling good. And she said, oh, that's a really good question. And she thought for a minute. I mean, she paused. And she said, I realize that I haven't been content with myself lately. And I'm already thinking in my head, that's so powerful. She said, I've been turning to food more and more, and I never allow myself to get hungry. And she didn't even realize any of that was going on until she stopped and thought about it. So for her, this was a light bulb moment. It was quite the revelation, and one that she recognized she really needs to work on and address. So spending a few moments at the end of your call, I mean, you don't want to make it a really super long call, but taking just a moment to ask one question of reflection will not only help your client, but it will also help you as their coach to grow in your skills and have more insight to your client. And Dee has pulled together a really great file that she's going to share with tons of questions, because I saw, Lucy, you asked in the chat some examples. It's got so many questions in it. There's some resources in there and just some really good things for us to check into and maybe print out and keep on hand. But as I close, I know the thought of asking deeper questions can sound intimidating. I get that. I would always rather, I'm a people pleaser by nature. So if I can make you feel good about yourself, always, I'm going to do that. And if I can just appease you and agree with you, yeah, I know it's hard. I get that. It was hard for me too. It's easy to do that, isn't it? But it doesn't help our clients. And it also doesn't help us as a coach. And so to some of you listening to me, it might sound like I'm always getting this right, but I am not perfect. I have not always, nor do I always get it right when talking to my clients. And, but I've just had a lot more practice. And in full transparency, I have gotten off so many calls, almost in tears, that I felt like I blew it. Or I was wishing I could go back and ask different questions or say things differently to my clients. But I just want to encourage you, the more you ask, the more you do this, the better you're going to get at bringing them up quickly. And you won't even have to think. It'll be second nature to ask these great questions. And you will learn so much more about your clients as you do this. So I hope this has been helpful tonight. I really appreciate each one of you. And I know that, you've taken your time to come tonight and sit in on this team time. And I really appreciate you being here. And Dee, thank you so much for letting me share. And I'm going to toss it back to you.
Awesome. Awesome. And don't go too far, because I'm sure we're going to want you to pop in as well. And I think you had at least one book that you recommended that was helpful to you.
Well, I am always going to recommend and re-recommend and re-recommend I Hear You, because it really helps you to listen. I learned so much from this book. The Advice Trap, he's just the same author that wrote The Coaching Habit. This is a phenomenal book. You will see yourself on all these pages because I was really good at giving advice. So it's a fabulous book. I think every page has an underline and a highlighter, notes written in it. So those are my two top choices.
Awesome. Big round of applause for Shauna. Great, great job with that. And one thing just to note about all of this is nobody is born a great question asker, right? Nobody entered probably Optavia coaching as a great question asker, but it is a skill that can be developed. And so these resources are great. I'm going to show you a new resource, but as Shauna was saying, like give yourself grace. If you flub one up, there's been times where I've missed the intrinsic validation part and I've seen the wall of defense go up before somebody felt validated. And I'm like, oh, I wish I would have validated. And I think what Shauna said is, when somebody's going through a hard time, we can say, I get it. It is hard, but I'm just curious if we keep repeating this pattern, are you going to be okay with, where your outcome is? So it's a validation and I love also, I heard you use the word what very often, Shauna. Your questions were what. And so I think if we can avoid as best we can why, but I like to use the word how, like how could we look at this differently? Or what could also be true is also a good one, but what or when? When do you think you could do that by? And it's so easy for us to, if somebody says they're struggling with lean and greens, to be like, let me send you an email of my 5 favorite lean and greens, or I'll go to the Facebook group and I'll tag you on 5. Or the question would be, have you checked out the Optavia app yet in the recipe section? So now we've put responsibility back on them. If it's no, when do you think you could take a look at that? Right. So putting it back onto them, because that exactly what Shauna said, that is when they are going to learn. Speaking of the Optavia app, before I jump to our new resource document, Dr. A's My Prescription for Life is now on the Optavia app. So yay for that. So that is a great tool to have available. It's in under the Learn section where the Habits of Health book is, Dr. A's Habits of Health. But what we've created for you, and we can go back through this before, and because we can edit this and update it at any time. And Shauna, you had some excellent questions, and maybe that could just be a section we add, like questions from the January 19th call. But what we put together is a coaching resource guide for all of us. And this is available as a Google Doc. So you can just store it. If you're a digital person, just store it on your digital drive. Or if you're a print person, you can print it out. And it really, really starts at the beginning of the foundation of how do you create safety, trust, and connection. And there's examples of that through here. A real big section on how when we're asking questions and looking at their progress on a weekly basis, taking it deeper into what's reflected on a metabolic scale and what are the metabolic benefits versus how many pounds did you lose this week. And then it goes on to all different kinds of scenarios. So the intrinsic validation, and how do you help them feel seen and heard? But examples of what to do if they ghost you or they skip a call, things that you can say. I'm going to give you the link for this. And then the purpose of our coaching conversations, what they are, and then some weekly connection call questions. And one thing I am doing is when with my new clients actually setting up like, hey, we're going to have a weekly connection every week. I don't say check in anymore. Like, hey, just checking in on you. It's like, hey, this is our weekly connection to talk about your progress and anything you're going through. But there's all of this. And then we have sections for like if a client feels stuck or they're not feeling motivated, if they're yo-yoing on and off the plan, if they're emotional and stress eating, if they're making excuses, blaming circumstances, all things that we know, and then gentle ways that we can rephrase and redirect. So I love this. It said coaching is not about pushing change. It's about creating the space where change becomes possible. And the difference between asking and telling, and one phrase that I really liked in here is, if we talk, we're going to hit their short-term memory. They may comply for just a little bit. If they talk, that is when they transform. So let me drop that link down in the comments for you. And we'd love some feedback from you. Some like, what else would you like to know? Or maybe share what was a question that a mentor asked you that made a difference in your progress. Are you having trouble thinking of one or afraid to share?
All right, I'll go
Frank,
first.
really good. Oh, sorry, Frank, I beat you to it.
Yep, go ahead.
Frank was really, really good about asking me open-ended questions. And I I was just in this massive discovery zone when I was going through the program, and there would be things that I would say that I was struggling with, and then he would say, "Well, how have you handled that this week?" As opposed to, well, these are some ideas that might help you through this. And then I would think back and go, well, during the week I did this, this, and this, and he was like, and was that effective for you? And, and so he wouldn't just stop at that, at my answer. He would delve a little bit more into it. And Shauna was really good too. Like the first month I was on the program, we were getting ready to go to Vegas for my birthday, and the kids had planned this massive weekend for me and all these things we were going to do. And I was like, I just got started and I don't want to lose ground. And Shauna was like, well, how have you thought about eating with the family? And I was like, well, I don't know. I'll just take a bunch of bars with me. And then, she did say, well, have you thought about the 4 and 2 instead of the 5 and 1 so that you could spend more meal time with your family as opposed to the fuelings? And so it was very, very effective the way that they always had me think through it and ask questions about it.
She's a strong woman.
Oh, stop. So yeah, that's my other coach who doesn't come to any of my meetings with me.
No, I mean, no,
That's awesome.
when she gets her
When I finally get my act together, he's going to join me.
yeah.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Well,
But
thank you,
anyway, no,
Agatha.
they were very good. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. How about you, Frank?
Uh, I think the very first, or one of the very first lessons I had to learn as a new coach, obviously I was living with a coach, so I had a great example, but it was when I got on calls, not only with clients, but with mentor coaches, I had to learn to shut up. Just shut up. I mean, so like when I bring somebody to UD, I do a quick 10-second introduction and I shut up. I put my thing on mute and I don't say a word unless you call on me. I don't jump in to try to give my opinion. I just keep it on mute. I don't say a word, even if I want to. And then the same thing with my clients. I'll ask a question and I'll just lean back in my chair and just shut up. And I'll wait and wait and wait for their answer. And sometimes that silence can be a minute or two while they're processing. So that was the biggest tip I could give a brand new coach is just be quiet.
That is so good. The acronym WAIT was a good one that I learned, and I know it's been shared before, but WAIT is why am I talking? And the one thing I learned from my corporate training days is when we ask that question, we feel uncomfortable with the silence, but very often somebody is pulling their thoughts together, right? Or whatever. So we have to allow for that and allow for that. And even if it is uncomfortable, change doesn't happen in the comfort zone. So I think Meg pointed out in one of our in the meeting, the Get America Healthy meeting we had last week, is that, that I would often say to her, not often, but occasionally, if, we'd be going down a path and I'd say, hey, can I ask you an uncomfortable question or what might be an uncomfortable question? So, even interrupting or interjecting if somebody is, going down a path or something, even asking permission, hey, can I ask you a question? Will help to divert, right? And when we ask a question, it actually stops their thought pattern, and that is how we can redirect, hopefully, and maybe a new direction for them. So. Well, good. I think this has been chock full of information. Thank you, Shauna, for everything that you did in helping to pull this together. We will share this coaching document with you, always open to suggestions for improvement for it, but really trying to give you tangible resources that you can use and also share with the new coaches that you are bringing on board as well. So, all right. Well, we've got the community call next, and then I will see you on Dr. A's call at 8:30. Bye, you guys.
Bye.